The May 8th, 2012 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Mr. Ansello. Miss Andrews. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker. Mr. Baroth. Miss Boyce. Mr. Colby. Mr. Daniele. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Esposito. Mr. Gamble. Mr. Gamina. Mr. Haney. Mr. Hanna. Mr. Howland. Miss Kaylee. Mr. John Lightfoot. Mr. Willie Lightfoot. Mr. McCann. Mr. Michike. Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Patterson. Dr. Quattro. Mr. Rocco. Mr. Tucciarello. Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Yolovich. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker. Mr. Gamble.
Please stay seated at this time. I would like to introduce Father James Coughlin of the McQuaid Jesuit High School, who has been invited here tonight by Legislator Boyce. Father, it's all yours.
Let us begin our evening with prayer. Gracious Lord, Maker of all and giver of life, you bless us with the gift of lush spring when life comes forth from cold winter earth. Teach us to tend that life, to care and nurture it as a precious gift. Teach us, too, to tend to the needs of our brothers and sisters, that no human being is so above or below us that we cannot walk side by side. As our legislature deliberates tonight, grant them wisdom and balance to care for our earth, to care for your children, and to bring us all growth and prosperity. Give us ears that listen to the needs of all. Give us hearts that feel compassion, especially for those less blessed than we are. Give us minds that know your wisdom in our consultation for the people of Monroe County. And give us, too, enough of a sense of humor that in our serious deliberations, we do not take ourselves too seriously. Do not allow us to argue fruitlessly or fall into the trap of self-centeredness. Rather, that your spirit of mirth and joy be found in all our work, and that our labors be an expression of your love, our handiwork the fulfillment of your plan. We ask this all in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Father Coughlin, on behalf of the whole Monroe County Legislature, I'd like to give you the certificate and say thank you. Good job.
Thank you very much.
The humor part of it, good. Legislator Dan Quattro will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Quattro. To the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I ask you all to continue to please stand. Without objection, I will take agenda item number 32 out of regular order. Agenda item number 32 is moved by Mr. Daniele, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memorial for United States Army Captain Bruce Kevin Clark.
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of United States Army Captain Bruce Kevin Clark. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deep sympathy at the recent passing of Army Captain Bruce Kevin Clark, a resident of Spencerport, a former volunteer with the Spencerport Fire Department, and member of the United States Army. Whereas Bruce Kevin Clark passed away at age 43 on Tuesday, May 1st, 2012, in the Helmand province of Afghanistan. And whereas Captain Clark joined the United States Army in 2006, based out of William Beaumont Army Medical Center in El Paso, Texas, after graduating from the college at Brockport with a degree in nursing. And whereas he was a beloved father and husband, as well as caring and well-respected leader to his friends and colleagues. And whereas Bruce Kevin Clark is survived by his wife, Susan, and their 2 daughters, and whereas Bruce Kevin Clark will long be remembered for his dependability, his honor, and his selfless service to this nation. And be it further resolved that the Clerk of the Legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
You've all received your copies of Journal of Day 5, April 17, 2012. Without exception, the journal stands approved as submitted. There's a hearing loop in place tonight to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire at the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic device in your possession, we would request that you silence them for the duration of the meeting, and we thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycles are in your folder. At this time, it is with great pleasure that I would like to introduce Mark Quinn from the Monroe County Parks Department, who will let us all know what the plan of the month is. Mark?
Good evening. The plant of the month is the dappled willow. It's one of over 300 species of willow. This is actually a dwarf. If you look at the light foliage on it, the new growth comes out pink and it's a white, goes later on into a green and white. Unlike most of the plants I've brought in here, which really kind of like a nice well-drained soil, most of the willows will do particularly well in a wet soil. As a matter of fact, even since yesterday I brought them in, they wilted a little bit. They really like a lot of water. So it's a plant that we use in spots that we can't get things like lilacs to grow where they don't like wet feet. This one will actually tolerate a little drier soil than a lot of the willows. It's a nice small plant right now. If you put it in a really good spot, it could get 15 to 20 feet. A good spot like over your septic system. You might not want to put your willows over your septic system because they're notorious for rooting into wet spots like pipes and stuff and clogging things. But they are a really nice ornamental. They grow very aggressively well in wet areas. These willows are actually going to get planted down in Ellison probably tomorrow or the next day in the new dog park. They're very attractive and they're an aggressive plant for a wet environment. Again, there's about 300 different varieties. This one, Integra, is called the dappled willow, and it's a pretty plant as a willow, and it is a dwarf. So in most areas, it'll only grow about 10 feet tall, and it can be pruned back late in the winter. Usually is the best time to prune it back. If you prune it, it actually has better color and growth, likes pretty much full sun to partial sun for the best color, and in the winter, you'll actually get red twigs on it. So it's actually a nice plant for the winter environment as well. So it's a good plant if you've got a tough, wet environment. So that's what we got tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. One question: would this plant make a good Mother's Day gift?
I'd go with something flowering if I were going for my mother. So, nice lilac this time of year, maybe.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask. So, options were given to legislators for this weekend. This evening, there are several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk.
Would the Penfield girls varsity basketball team and their coaches please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Debbie Draw and E. Daniel Quattro. You can line right up in the front. Come over here. Whereas the Penfield Patriots girls varsity basketball team fell one win short of a Class AA state championship. The girls' road to the finals included many great feats, including a 63-52 win over the Gates-Chili Spartans, which clinched the Class AAA Section 5 championship, and a 57-35 win over Fairport, which led to the team's third Monroe County Division I title in the last 4 seasons. And whereas under the leadership and guidance of head coach Mark Vogt, the Patriots displayed extraordinary levels of talent and determination throughout their lengthy season. And whereas the dedication this group of young women showed throughout their season is admirable. They have represented our community with great pride. The future is bright for these young athletes. And whereas lessons learned in athletics can often translate into success later in life, we are confident that the members of this team will continue to be model citizens for the Penfield community as well as Monroe County. Now therefore we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Debbie Draw, Legislator District 9, and E. Daniel Quattro, Legislator District 15, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Penfield girls varsity basketball team on a 24-1 season and winning the Section 5 Class AAA championship. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the legislature for having us here. This is a really neat experience. Very quickly, probably like a lot of you here, our success came as a direct result from a failure. And last year, we went into the sectional championship game with a 20-0 record and played Gates-Chili, and we're up 7 points going into the fourth quarter. And there's an old saying, don't play the game not to lose. I wish somebody had told me that before the game. And we ended up losing. But these guys, it made them hungrier. It made them more of a team. They made a commitment to each other. The way spring basketball works is everybody goes off onto their own club teams. These guys made the decision to stay together and play and work out at the Y, and they became a really cohesive unit. And this year, we got lucky, and we had a rematch with Gates-Chili in the sectional finals, and this time we got it right, and that propelled us to a nice state run where we made it all the way to the state championship, the farthest the Penfield team has ever gone. It was a great season, great memories, and I'm just so proud to be able to share the memories with these guys because, as it was said in the proclamation, they are true role models, and they take it very serious. Thank you again. Let's keep taxes low.
That was great. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks for coming tonight. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Would Chet Ferry please come forward? Also President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Richard Yolovich, Mike Rocco, and Robert Colby.
Hello, Mr. Breadman.
Whereas Chet Ferry has served many roles throughout his life, husband, father, teacher, and the bread man. Chet has devoted the last 10 years of his life to baking bread and distributing it for free to the residents of Monroe County. To date, Chet has baked over 20,000 loaves of bread and has given away every single loaf. His clientele includes friends, family, senior citizens, school children, nursing home residents, and complete strangers that he happens to cross paths with. And whereas Chet's actions are all part of his greater mission to spread and promote random acts of kindness among everyone in the community. The bread man is not satisfied with just giving out bread to members to the community. In order to spread his message and promote his overall mission, Chet also teaches others how to make bread. He promotes the idea of one loaf to eat and one loaf to give away because making and sharing are one and the same. And whereas Chet travels with his 6-quart bowl and ingredients to spread his message and teach people to bake bread themselves. During a visit to the Maplewood Library on Dewey Avenue, he brought 60 loaves of flatbread so that children could use it to taste dips from around the world. And whereas, throughout his journeys in our community, the bread man has accumulated a wealth of stories. Chet will soon release his book entitled Bread Time Stories. The book will be filled with stories that introduce people to the pleasures of bread making. Chet's dedication towards spreading random acts of kindness within our community is an inspiration to all of us. Now therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Richard Yolovich, Legislator District 1, Mike Rocco, Legislator District 2, and Robert Colby, Legislator District 20, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Chet Ferry on his generosity in giving away over 20,000 loaves of bread. Congratulations.
I'm truly humbled by this. This is a simple loaf of bread that seems to be able to unite people. I'm continuing to be amazed how we can bring this community together through acts of kindness. I know each of you know that. You've been performing acts of kindness as a legislature for years and decades, and I think we all know the lesson of giving back to our communities and doing acts of kindness, because that defines who we are and what we believe and what we stand for. Now, I have to give Jeff this loaf of bread because it's appropriate, because he claims he's the bread man also. And of course, you know, I've known Dick Yolovich for years, and of course, the bread man has to say hello and give a special greeting to the donut man. And it's all part of our community, all part of what joins us. And I thank you for this. And as I say at my many presentations, find your act of kindness. Do it as often as you can. It truly makes a difference. We can change this world one loaf of bread at a time or one act of kindness at a time. So thank you very much for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, bread man.
By the way, I did leave bread for everyone. It's back hidden in the office here. It happens to be a special recipe. It's a roasted oat and wheat bread that I created just for you. So make sure you take a loaf, enjoy it, and it'll help unite all of us to do what's best for this community. Thank you.
Would Heiko Rommelman please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and Legislator Carmen F. Gumina. Whereas Heiko Rommelman is a 6th grade student at Spry Middle School and a judo champion. In 2011, he won the Junior National Tournament in 2 divisions, the Shihai, meaning fighting, and Kata, meaning forms. He has contended in many different competitions, including the Rock and Roll Capital of the World Championship and the George Harris YMCA International Judo Camp, where he took gold in both Shihai and Kata. And whereas, although he has a rigorous training program, Heiko still competes where it matters the most, the classroom. He was awarded the Certificate of Academic Excellence from the United States Judo Federation and is now a member of the program's Academic Society. With such a busy schedule, this accomplishment truly speaks to his work ethic. And whereas Heiko is an inspiration and role model to his peers, his hard work and dedication to judo and his schoolwork has certainly paid off. There is no doubt that more judo championships lay ahead for him. And whereas the Webster community is proud to have a young athlete with such a bright future, Heiko is an asset to our community, and we wish him the best of luck in future competitions. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, and Carmen F. Gamina, Legislator District 8, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Heiko Ramelman on his many judo accomplishments. Congratulations.
I'd just like to thank everyone for this prestigious award of recognition.
Whoa, wait. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, yeah. We will now recess for the purpose of holding one public hearing. I declare open the public hearing on resolution intro number 117 of 2012 entitled Amending the Monroe County Code Relating to the Composition of the Solid Waste Reuse and Recycle Law Advisory Committee.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed and convene the May 8, 2012 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Mrs. Rozzi.
If you require assistance, a deputy will assist you in approaching the lectern. Please come forward when your name is called and address the legislature. You will have 2 minutes, and we ask that you conclude when the timer sounds, and we again thank you for your cooperation. Our first speaker will be Shanitia Reagans. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Shantia Reagans. I'm a student at Monroe Community College. I am a part of Student Events and Governance Association. which is the governing body of the clubs on our campus. And I'm also the vice president of the Honorable Women's Club. And I am coming to support the move of the new campus. As a parent and as a student, I have children who are part of the pre-collegiate programs housed at MCC, which is Liberty Partnership, and STEP is one of them. And the move of a new campus will offer a safer environment not only for those Rochester City School District students who have to come through East Main and through the Liberty, the Sibley building to get to the campus, but also it will offer opportunities for MCC to provide different resources for students like daycares and more programming, being as though we only have 2 floors on the downtown campus, we have limited programming for our students. So that is why I support the new campus.
Our next speaker is Sister Grace Miller.
On Thursday, February 23rd, 2012, members of the Citizens for Dignified Burial met with Maggie Brooks, Kelly Reed, and other officials of the Republican Party. At that meeting, before we even brought up our concerns, Kelly Reed stated and apologized, accepting full responsibility for not having followed up on a discussion we were to have on the burial issue. And at this meeting, she stated that she would set up another meeting for us. She apologized profusely, made this promise. Apparently, this was nothing but a stall, a game. Because today, 2.5 months later, we have not met. Repeatedly, I asked Kelly Reed personally when we were going to meet. She said she was working on it. I have repeatedly called her office, and I'm getting no responses from her office. Seems like no one wants to speak about it. This is another indication that the Republican Party in Monroe County does not like, nor does it care for the poor. Your dislike for the poor is blatant. The treatment that Sally Green and her family received at the time of Sally's death, without the publicity you received, means nothing to you. Your blatant arrogance is appalling. You live comfortably in the suburbs with more than you need, while poor people in the city can barely subsist. You live comfortably in the suburbs while poor people lack food on their tables. You live comfortably in the suburbs while poor people live in dilapidated apartments or are homeless. You live comfortably in the suburbs while poor people live in the dark with no refrigeration or heat because they cannot afford their utility bills. You've gone to great schools and universities, and so do your children or have your children, while poor children in the city can't even read or write and don't even graduate. We've gone to some of your funerals of your loved ones and receptions. There's a lot of food around. But our people can't even have a dignified burial because Maggie Brooks decided that the money allowed for burials for the poor needed to be cut, causing great agony to our people. We struggled to care for the poor in your county and ours against all odds, when it is your responsibility to take care of the poor in Monroe County. But it's very obvious that you don't care, which is scandalous. But how many times have I stood here before you and said it is scandalous? Apparently, you disregard the Old Testament history. Jerusalem was destroyed for its abuse of the poor. In the Old Testament, Jeremiah cries out against the lawmakers who have become rich and powerful, fat and sleek. When they rule without justice and do not defend the rights of the poor. The question I ask you is, who is your God? Or what is your God? We're not finished. We have work to do. We've appealed to you. So far, we've received no response. As I said last time, we're not waiting much longer.
Our next speaker is Chris Safuto.
Good evening, everybody. Every month I come here and talk about Monroe County Works because we do. We are the rank and file who do the jobs and follow the rules set forth by the county administration. One of those duties we have had was ethics training. Everyone had no choice but to take it, sign off that they did it, and if they didn't do it, they could be disciplined. Imagine my surprise when I opened the newspaper on Sunday morning and saw the article about some 200 top folks working or elected in Monroe County were not following the rules or the ethics code that are a must for the hardworking county employees. It's a funny thing that if an employee has a second job, they must report it to their supervisor. And let me tell you, without a raise in 4 years, there are many employees working 2, maybe 3 jobs. In some departments of the county, one has to fill out forms, get permission to even work that second job, just to make sure there's not a conflict of interest. So when I come every month and say that Monroe County works because we do, it isn't that the job we do is great. It's also that we follow the rules and regulations, which makes every one of you and this administration look good. So on behalf of the hardworking men and women in this county, I would ask that the top 200 people follow that same example and help us to continue to make Monroe County work as we do.
Our next speaker is Arlene Hodge.
My name is Arlene Hodge, and I'm kind of doing this off the cuff this evening. I volunteer a lot at the House of Mercy. I am on a journey to become a documentary photographer, and I'm shaking. My story really quick is that my husband is in Afghanistan right now. He's on his 5th deployment, and I heard what the coach of the girls that were up here said, how they won through crisis or through loss, bringing them to a win. And my crisis or my bad move is that I left my husband and we're going through a divorce now. And in that, I chose to waive any sort of alimony or child support, knowing that I've got my arms, my legs, and my faculties. I could pursue a career. I have lost my job due to budget cuts with the town of Brighton. I'm at school full-time in human services to learn about the people that I shoot, homeless people and drug addicts and whatnot. And in that, I have also applied for Medicaid and food stamps. I have not had a problem. Things have been fine. There's a lot of crowding, and it's a little hard to walk in there when you were someone here and the type of people that you surround yourself with when you go in there. But I was told that I would have a phone interview. The people who were going to call me never called. I left class for the call, and about an hour later I received a voice message that I would get some information to mail a whole bunch of stuff about my life in order to qualify for the food stamps. And I called right away. Went to a message that the voice box was full. A week later I did get the information saying mail in X, Y, and Z. I mailed it all in. I got another document stating that you missed your phone interview. So I called and said, no, I did not miss my phone interview. You, being social services, missed it, and I also have a voicemail. And the woman and everything was fine with that, but the woman that I spoke with on the phone today, in regards to that I can only imagine is under a huge amount of stress and burden with all of the people that are on social services, said, I can't talk. Do you want the phone interview or do you not want it? And I said, well, I just need to know who to talk to about this. I didn't miss the phone interview. And she goes, like I said, do you want the phone interview or do you not want it? And I said, I'll take it. She said, fine, you're scheduled, and hung the phone up on me. I could have perceived her to be rude. It made me feel like I just want to give up on the whole thing. I don't know what I'm saying here, Sister Grace. I feel like you need to help me out, but I just guess rudeness, there is no place for it. And when you're doing the right thing, I'm doing the right thing, to be put down here makes me want to just give up sometimes, and everyone has a choice and a chance to do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Linda Helm.
Hello, Linda Helm, House of Mercy. I'd like to share with you my experiences with DSS. 2 of the many times I've went. St. Paul I went to. 3 hours standing in line, very unhealthy. Westfall Road, 17 people, healthy. We need help, we the people. The body heat and the kids, and I'm grateful that they don't go by the rules, no food, no drinks, and yeah, you need food and drinks when you're waiting in line that long. Crying babies, and so I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you hear what I'm saying and help us, we the people, and House of Mercy. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Roy Adams.
Good evening. Let me preface my remarks by saying that I'm a 35-year veteran of the Rochester Police Force, although I point out that I'm not speaking on their behalf tonight. There's some legislation being put forward to expand the right to allow concealed carry in county parks. Over the last 35 years, I've had the opportunity to deal with all manner of crime and violence, both in the city and county areas. I would ask you to do the right thing regardless of which side of the legislature you're on, and allow these decent citizens to protect themselves. We have an old saying in police work, when you need help in seconds, cops are minutes away. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gary Putup.
Thank you, Mr. President, legislators. My name is Gary Putup. I'm a county resident and a retired police lieutenant from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I was a police officer with 30 years of service. I retired as commander of the Internal Affairs Unit. I would like to address the proposal to enact a local law to prohibit cyberbullying. I believe that this is a well-intentioned proposal. Nevertheless, we need to be careful when criminalizing bad teen behavior. Specifically, I'm concerned with the wording in Section 382, Sub 4, definitions, C, cyberbullying. The use of the words annoy and insulting are overly broad. Understanding that in New York, a 16-year-old is criminally culpable, and I know no one here has ever engaged or been subject to negative campaigning, I would like you to consider this scenario. A 16-year-old running for class president posts on her Facebook page, sends tweets and texts during the campaign, my 17-year-old opponent is lazy and doesn't deserve to be president. This can be said to have repeatedly committed acts over time that were insulting and annoyed her opponent. Thus, she is subject to arrest and 1 year of incarceration. I'm confident that that's not what you have intended by this proposal. I ask that you please consider at the least striking the words annoy and insulting to ensure a more clearly defined law, less likely to be misused or misconstrued. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Fred Calgeo.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fred Calcagno. I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm here to address the issue of the Monroe County Parks Law that I believe will come up to a vote shortly. And for anyone who doesn't know, Monroe County Parks Law does not allow the carrying of firearms in Monroe County parks. It's the same issue that Roy Adams just addressed. I would like to say that I received a pistol permit in 1987, 26 years ago. And to get that pistol permit, you take 6 months of background checks, 6 months of checking up and down, fingerprinting, mental health hygiene check. When that permit comes in the mail 6 months later, you're allowed to carry a firearm concealed most places in New York State. There are certain places you can't carry, and we know where those places are. Now, one of the places you can't carry is the Monroe County Park System. And where that becomes an issue is the older we get, the more frail we get, and the more you feel vulnerable. When you go into a Monroe County park, and I'm not talking just about the parks where you go sit on take your kids to the swings, I'm talking about all the trail systems. When you come up to a sign, a red sign at the trail system that says, no firearms allowed on this trail, you're faced with a choice. If you carry a firearm, you either break the law and carry it with you, which you don't do, or you lock it in your car. Now, you lock the firearm in your car, say someone comes along and breaks into your car and steals it. Now your permit goes into a judge for review because you were careless. Those are the type of things that happens when we have overextensive laws like this. The Monroe County Parks Law is not allowing people like myself to possess a firearm, nor my wife. An example is I live a tenth of a mile from the Lehigh Valley Trail. My wife, as much as she'd like to hike that trail, feels uncomfortable and will not hike alone while I'm gone. She just doesn't feel confident. She has a pistol permit, she could carry, she's not allowed to carry. This is where you prohibit the honest, legal, law-abiding citizen from self-defense. I'd like to ask what you think I, as a gun owner, would do different in the Monroe County Park than I do anywhere else in the state where I'm allowed to carry. And it's my feeling that the law restricts me unnecessarily, and I don't believe that there would be any more incidents of violence or anything else. When you take guns away from people in an area like that, you make it a gun-free zone, and you make it an area where the criminals have a much easier time doing something. Imagine letting your own wife walk on a trail system all by herself, no matter where. She is much more vulnerable than I am, and I'm surprised more ladies aren't up here to speak about this. But the fact is that I'm urging you to vote to repeal the Parks Law, and I guarantee you'll find citizens like myself safer and better protected. Thank you very much.
Our last speaker is Tom Gregory. Our last speaker is Tom Gregory.
Well, first of all, I want to respond that I'm a poor person. That's no secret amongst the members of this legislature here. And I'm also a Republican. But that doesn't matter because, frankly, I've had access to both sides of this legislative aisle, and I've never found you to be prejudiced against the poor. And, frankly, I resent anybody who would come in here and point at one finger at one side or the other, and I mean at one side or the other, and say one side is biased against the poor. I think that's incorrect. I was going to speak on politics, a campaign, but there's a more pressing issue. And I'm going to beg you and I'm going to implore you as county legislators to vote in support of the current law that prohibits guns in our parks. I want you to think about this for a second. Any person who feels leaving the city or the county that they go to a park where your children might be playing on swings or riding a horse like out in Mendon Ponds Park or innocently taking a walk on a trail and all of a sudden be subjugated to someone's fear now, mind you, that they go to the park feeling they have to carry a gun to protect themselves. To me, I'll be quite frank, is sure insanity. And I have no respect for people who feel they have to carry a gun into the park. That's foolishness. And you're subjugating innocent people, especially children, most of them who go to parks, families who take their kids to parks, you're subjecting them to some craziness. You know, there's a lot of times that people hide some kind of feeling in that flag, and they're saying Second Amendment and all this stuff here, but anyone who's read any constitutional law on the First Amendment realizes that the Supreme Court has looked at it and said, guess what? Yeah, you've got particular rights, but there are areas. Let's be prudent. Let's be reasonable. Let's use discretion. And the idea of bringing armed people into our public parks because they are afraid, that's scary. That's more scary than going out on the trail without any arms. Thank you very much.
This concludes our public forum.
We will now proceed with the considerations of local law. Will the clerk please read the first item on the agenda? Mrs. Rossi?
Item number 1, referral 12-113, providing that local law intro number 117 of 2012.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 12-113.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. This is for the motion to be adopted. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 3, referral 12-140.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 12-140.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. This is the motion to table. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries.
Item number 5, referral 12-140.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. This is a motion to set the public hearing. All in favor? Are there any opposed? The item carries. We will now continue with the considerations of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 6, referral 12-52.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to comment that I rise in support of us adopting the 2012 annual work plan, and I think it represents a real effort, primarily on your part, but on your colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle as well, in reach out to our side. I like the process of coming up with a draft and seeking our input, and then including some of our ideas in the work plan. And I hope that that's can be something that we continue as a trend in this legislature, and I'm encouraged by that. And I know that with respect to the work plan, we'll see it as a working and usable document that we can refer to from time to time, and I appreciate your efforts in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Thank you, everyone.
Item number 7, referral 12-138.
Moved by Legislator Rockow, second by Legislator Howland. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 12-139.
Moved by Legislator Howland, second by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Barra.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a moment and acknowledge I actually serve on this board as well, and I have to say it's both educational and collegial in nature. In no small part, that's due to the membership of that board, all of whom represented on this particular referral have done a very excellent job, and I'd like to commend particularly Legislator Yolovich for his past work and his dedication, and I look forward to working with him in the future. He's been a very good, I use the word, mentor in that board. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 12-147, accepting grant.
Moved by Legislator Hanna, second by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 10, referral 12-148, authorizing intermunicipal agreement.
Moved by legislator Gamina, second by legislator Hannah and Yolovich. Discussion at this time. Legislator Patterson.
Thank you. I am definitely in favor of increased road patrols and our deputies being forward deployed and in the community. Yet at the same time, I have a grave concern about this referral. The notion that we would pay 10 cents more per gallon for the privilege of providing that protection is bothersome. I see no reason why we can't see this as a wash. I see no reason why we shouldn't be negotiating and working to pay the exact cost as opposed to paying a premium to purchase this fuel from any local government. It's an advantage for the community served to have those sheriff deputies roll through there. It's an advantage for the neighborhoods that those deputies are rolling through to get to those fueling sites. We certainly shouldn't be paying additional. We certainly shouldn't be providing additional funds to communities when that money would be better spent deploying deputies in the field. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed?
Okay.
2 we've got. 3. Going to go for a roll call, make sure we're all set. Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Mr. Daniele? Yes. Mr. O'Brien? Yes. Mr. Ansello? Yes. Ms. Andrews? Yes. Mr. Antelli? Yes. Mr. Barker? Yes. Mr. Baroth? Yes. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Mr. Colby? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Esposito? Yes. Mr. Gamble? No. Mr. Gamina? Yes. Mr. Haney? Yes. Mr. Hanna? Yes. Mr. Howland? Yes. Ms. Kaylee? Yes. Mr. John Lightfoot? Yes. Mr. Willie Lightfoot? No, Mr. McCann? Yes. Mr. Michike? Yes. Mr. Patterson? No. Dr. Quattro? Yes. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mr. Tucciarello? Yes. Mrs. Valerio? Yes. Mr. Wilcox? Yes. Mr. Yolovich? Yes. President Adair?
Yes.
26-3.
The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 11, referral 12-149, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Penfield.
Moved by legislator Gamina, second by legislators Hannah and Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Patterson.
Again, we shouldn't be paying a premium for this fuel at this time or at any time. Those communities clearly benefit by having those deputies roll through there. We're happy to have those deputies roll through there, but we certainly shouldn't be paying additional funds for that privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to a roll. I'm sorry, Mr. Yolovich. The floor is yours.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd just like to mention that there is a cost of doing business. There's a cost to those districts, to the school district, and to the towns out there to maintain those facilities, to keep them manned with people, and to also snow plow and whatever else needs to be done there, and that's why the 10 cents is added on.
Thank you, Mr. Yolovich. Is there any other discussion at this time? Legislator Gamble.
Mr. President, but those things are already being done by other vehicles using that site. Why should there be an additional cost added if it's already being done? They're not the only vehicles that's using that pump station or fill station. So is everybody else paying an additional cost, or are we just paying for everybody else's cost?
Legislator Gamble, is that in a form of a question or is it a statement?
It's just a statement, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Daniele? Yes. Mr. O'Brien? Yes. Mr. Ansello? Yes. Ms. Andrews? Yes. Mr. Antelli? Yes. Mr. Barker? Yes. Mr. Baroth? Yes. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Mr. Colby? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Esposito? Yes. Mr. Gamble? Mr. Gamina? Mr. Haney? No. Mr. Hanna? Mr. Holland? Miss Kaylee? Mr. John Lightfoot? Mr. Willie Lightfoot? Mr. McCann? Mr. Michike? Mr. Patterson? Dr. Quattro? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Tucciarello? Mrs. Valerio? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair?
Yes.
25-4.
The item carries.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to move items 12 through and including 31.
We have a motion on the floor to move the agenda item from here all the way through to 31, made by Legislator Daniele, second by Legislator O'Brien. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Is there any unfinished business to come before this body tonight? Seeing none, Mr. Daniele.
I move this body stand adjourned until 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 12, 2012.
Thank you.